great class. So that was a big class. So anyway, it's wonderful to go to a small Christian school. Our group up here is called an orchestra. It's not a huge orchestra, right? We have different instruments, and I want to have them, some of the people are going to play their instrument for you. And we're going to start with Cecily. And Cecily plays the flute. And I don't see her. Where is she? Over there, hiding. Okay, so she's just going to play a couple of notes so you can hear what a flute sounds like. Isn't that beautiful? How that high, beautiful sound sounds like a bird. And then now Abby, where's Abby? Somewhere. Abby is going to play the violin. Let's see what a violin sounds like. Isn't that nice? And her mom, Donna, is going to play an instrument called a viola, and it's a little bigger. How is this all going to fit together? Let's see. Then Nora is going to play the cello for us. See that nice low sound. Catherine is going to play the bass. That's called the double bass, that huge instrument in the corner. Sounds all growly and low. You would think, well, how does that add to an orchestra? Well, we're going to hear. And then Paul, who's hiding in the corner back there, is going to play his big slide trombone. How do you like that one? You like the slide trombone? That's a famous instrument. So there is something very interesting in the Bible in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. And this is verses 4 and 5, and it says, just as our body has many parts, each part has a special function, so it is with Christ's body. We are many parts of one body, and we all belong to each other. In His grace, God has given us different gifts for doing certain things well. So the Bible tells us we all have very different gifts. And it goes on to say something very funny, actually, in the Bible. We don't usually think of things as funny in the Bible, but this part seems funny to me. It mentions the foot, and it says, the foot doesn't say, I'm no good, because I'm not a hand. You know, I mean, that's in the Bible. Just right there, those direct words. So I think God had a little bit of a sense of humor, or does have a sense of humor. And then it talks about your eyes and your ears. If your whole body were an eye, how would you hear? If your whole body were an ear, how would you smell anything? Some parts of the body, and it talks about this, that seem to be the weakest are actually the most important. So I'm going to tell you about a part of your body that is really important, and we didn't realize how important it was until recently. It's inside of your belly, and it's called your intestines. And those are very important. First of all, it digests your food, but there's all kinds of bacteria in there that have an awful lot to do with how you feel. And if you're happy or sad, how does that happen? But that's how God created us. It's just miraculous. The Bible also says that your body is like the church. Different people in the church have different gifts. The minister has a gift for talking. He makes up interesting sermons to teach you about Jesus. The secretary is good at answering the telephone, typing in the bulletin, so we don't get all mixed up in the service. And I did get a little mixed up in the service. But anyway, if I follow the bulletin, maybe I wouldn't have. So you know what to do. The organist or the pianist, they play the organ to make sure, or the piano to make sure you are singing the right notes. That's a gift too. The treasurer likes numbers and likes to count things, and especially count up money. And so the minister can pay his bills and feed his family. And so the church can pay for the electric lights and to keep the lights on so you can read the Bible. All of these people are very important. The janitor or whoever cleans your church likes things to be neat and tidy and to be clean. And the old folks in the church have a lot of wisdom to impart to people. And the children in the church bring a lot of joy and energy to the church to make people smile. What if the church only had one of those people? What if it just had a janitor? The church would be all nice and neat and beautiful, and no one would be here. There would be no words to hear, nothing. So the janitor alone is super important, but it's not the only one. All of those people are very important. So who would preach a sermon? And what if there were no children in the church? Who would be able to cheer up the old folks? That's very important. And in our orchestra, sometimes an instrument that seems to be not very important is actually the most important. If there were no flutes, who would play the high parts? If there was no viola, who would play the middle parts? If there was no trombone, who would play the pa-pas? Those are important notes. And if there were no double bass, the whole orchestra would sound very dull and completely empty. You need those growly low notes that you heard the bass play in order for the orchestra to sound good. And it constantly amazes me if the bass isn't there, the orchestra sounds terrible, even though they're not playing as many notes as some of the other instruments. So we are all important. And in fact, the children may be the most important, because the children are the future of the church. And they bring everyone great happiness. Now, the orchestra is going to play you a beautiful hymn, and the name of it is called Lead On, O King Eternal. And each instrument has its own part to play. That's a saying we say, oh, they have their part to play. And that came from playing in an orchestra or in a band. And you have a part to play in your church, as do all the people here. This hymn was written many, many years ago in 1887, and the man that wrote it, his name was Ernest. We don't hear that name much anymore, do we? But that used to be a very common, nice name. And he was he was learning to be a minister, and he was graduating, and he liked to write poems. And his classmates said, oh, please write something nice for graduation. And so he wrote the poem, Lead On, O King Eternal. And it's a march. And it's the hymn that they march to. And you can hear it. It's in 4. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4 as we play it. And all marches are in 4. And you could actually march around the room if you wanted to this piece, just like Ernest did from his graduation. So if you remember, when each different instrument played the little snippets of parts, it sounded nice, but I think you will find it sounds even better when the orchestra plays all together. Just like in a church, we are better together.
Amen.
Now we're going to play this grand hymn for you. It sounds like the march. And if you want to march back to your seats while we're playing it, think of that. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a good piece for you to march to and to think of your future and how to serve others as a child of God.
Amen. Amen.